What would you do if God or one of his angels actually appeared to you? Would you announce it to the world or would you hide it? Well, the question that I just asked you is one that I've actually had to answer myself. And I'll be honest, I was a coward, for it took me 22 long years to figure out what to do. It's a fascinating story, my meeting with that angel. But right now, I want to focus on the time from my birth to the moment I had to answer that question, those in between years. The title of this speech is Stumbling Down the Correct Path. And that's because that's exactly what I've done almost my entire life. I had no plan. I merely stumbled from one day to the next with nothing on my mind other than survival and what can I do to have some fun. There were no goals set. I had no aspirations. My parents had their own problems and they were not very helpful in my life planning. Somehow, though, I kept stumbling down the correct path, or so I think. Accidentally making the right decisions. It was as if I was some little league player, 6 years old, out in the field who randomly sticks his glove out and, oh, looky there, there's a ball in my glove. Or, as my very southern husband likes to say, even a blind hog gets an ear of corn every once in a while. Well, I got more than one ear of corn. I know that I married the men I was supposed to marry, both my first husband and my second husband. I know I accidentally gave birth to 7 children that were absolutely supposed to be in this world. One thing, though, that wasn't a stumble was me becoming an author. That was divine intervention. For I never would have thought of writing anything had that angel not appeared to me and advised me to do so. I think that angel and I had a pact before I came to earth that he would watch over me, and then if I didn't figure things out by the time I was 40 years old, he would come down here and knock me upside the head. Well, that's exactly what he did. He set me on a path of writing, and it became my absolute bliss. That and speaking are my true joys. But before that divine intervention, when I had absolutely no direction in my life, I'm pretty sure I was being watched over. I mean, as a teenager, I was a wild child, sneaking out in the middle of the night and doing all kinds of other dangerous things that we won't even talk about here. I get a vision of that Facebook meme. You know, the one where there's a statue of a guardian angel doing a giant face palm? That had to be what mine was doing. Let me tell you a story about being watched over. There was this young girl, barely 20 years old and newly married. One afternoon, she and her husband had a little spat, so she decided to go for a walk. As she walked down that sidewalk, she came upon a schoolyard surrounded by a chain-link fence and a swing set on the other side. It came to her that that would be the perfect place to sit and brood, so she made her way inside that schoolyard and sat down on that swing facing the road. As she sat there thinking of all the reasons why she was right and her husband was wrong, of course, a man drove up in a pretty yellow car. Now, this caught her attention because yellow had always been this girl's favorite color. The man got out of his car and he came to the fence, and he was very, very handsome. He flashed her a beautiful smile, and he asked her if she'd like to go for a ride. Well, the girl thought about it for a moment, but truly it was only a split second because after all, she was newly married and very much in love with her husband. So she turned him down. Now, he seemed greatly disappointed in this, and so he asked her again, oh, come on, just a short ride. But she turned him down again. And he stood there for a few moments looking at her, his hands resting over the top of that chain link fence. And then finally he shook his head, got in his car, and drove away. Now I'm going to tell you the rest of that story in just a moment, but before I do, let me give you my advice on stumbling through life. Now this is profound wisdom, so listen carefully. Are you ready? Don't do it. Don't stumble through life. Set goals, make a plan, figure out who you are, figure out who you want to be, find your bliss. Don't live life on accident, live life on purpose. Now, probably just the fact that you're watching this video means that you're already doing just that. You're reaching out, you're searching for new information, you're striving to be better, and you're finding yourself, and that is a beautiful thing. Yogi Berra was known for his incongruous statements that always make me chuckle. And a few of those almost made sense. And one of those was, if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. Well, for most of my life, I didn't know where I was going. And so I had to be either pretty lucky or being watched over. And as I said, I'm pretty sure I was being watched over. And for that, I'm very grateful. I survived, and I'm no longer stumbling, for I'm now being led on a path of miracles and joy. And now for the end of the story. Well, you probably figured out that the young girl in that story was me. And the handsome young man who drove up in that yellow car and stood just on the other side of that chain link fence. Well, though I didn't know it at the time, as it turned out, he was famous, or I guess I should say infamous. And I guess I should say that I really was being watched over. For had I not had the inclination to go inside that schoolyard, had I continued down that sidewalk, I probably wouldn't be here today. For that man's name was Ted Bundy. Thanks for watching.